Hi, welcome to the Dan Bradbury podcast, where turnover is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king. In this podcast, I'll bring you resources, tips, interviews, and lots more to help to grow your business and make it less dependent on you.
Hello and welcome to the Dan Bradbury podcast. I'm Topher Morrison, guest hosting for Dan, who cannot come to his own podcast. With the recent decline in the value of Bitcoin, Dan was seen with his axe and his pick running into the rolling hills of Warwickshire trying to mine some Bitcoin. If you do have his mobile number, could you please give him a call and let him know that's not how mining Bitcoin works. In the meantime, we're going to get him prepped and ready to go for the Success Mastermind coming up June 21st and 22nd, where we will be hosting the second annual Ultimate Entrepreneur Competition. That's right, where we're going to have a few hardworking entrepreneurs will be competing for a cash prize of £10,000 and the title of Ultimate Entrepreneur for this year. Today's guest in the podcast is one of those competitors, and his name is Jim Price. He is with UK Football Trials or UK Football Schools. He has both companies, and they are designed specifically around the idea of recruiting and training and developing young athletes into professional footballers. We're going to hear about how he was able to withstand and survive the pandemic and what he's doing for the future of his business and how he's been able to stay in his lane and not get tempted by other projects that might be just as lucrative but not his specialty. So without further ado, please welcome to the show Jim Price from UK Football Trials. Jim, welcome to the Dan Bradbury podcast, and congratulations on making it as one of the finalists for the Ultimate Entrepreneur Competition coming up June 21st and 22nd in Warwick. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. I'll be emceeing the event, but for now, we get to meet over this digital medium and find out a little bit more about your business. I'm excited to learn more about your company because I am at a distance involved in some sports businesses. I'm a minority shareholder for a collegiate sports agency, and then the school that I'm attending, we're doing an entrepreneurial project specifically around blockchain technology for athletes. So this is something that has a cool personal interest for me as well. But for those of you who have not met Jim, Jim Price is the founder of UKFootballTrials.com, which is it's a trials course company. If I were to explain that, how would you pitch it? When you pitch somebody, what is it you do?
Yeah, we do. Well, basically what we do is we run 1 day and 5 day football trial events where young footballers who are desperate to become professionals can attend. They get to train and then play matches in front of.
When you say young, how young? Are you working with primary school, middle school, collegiate, everything?
It's like we do it from 10 years old all the way through to early 20s, really. So there's different opportunities and different pathways for players at each age group.
Now you've actually accomplished something pretty amazing, which is you're the largest football trials club. I don't know if club was the right term to use there. In the world, is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's that many people doing it internationally, but we're certainly the largest in Britain and to our knowledge in the world. Yeah, so it's been a long road to get there, but yeah, thankfully we have.
By the way, side note for all of my U.S. viewers on this podcast, football is a sport where there is a black and white round ball and you kick it with your feet. It ain't the pigskin one. So
that's right.
Anyway, I'm up to speed. I know what you're talking about. So how long have you all been in business? Because you must have been in for quite some time in order to get up to the world's largest. Yeah.
It's 10 years now we've been operating properly. And my brother actually, he's the co-founder with me, co-CEO, and he was the one who really got it all moving 10 years ago. He was working on mega yachts, and I had this idea, and he came over and sort of ran with it. And took us a long while to establish ourselves, get credibility, build up the contacts that you need. But it's eventually got to somewhere like where we want to be.
Yeah, and that's Harry is your brother. So is he a co-founder with you, or is it your company and then he's just the pretty face that goes along with the brand, or do you guys have co-ownership?
I usually say that, but no, it was my idea.
Yeah.
He can give me that one. Now, I saw a company who were doing it, and there was just this huge interest in what they were doing, but they were just doing it really badly, and they weren't really being ethical or honest about the scouts that were in attendance. But I remember looking at this trial and going, what a great idea, if you were actually able to do this properly, because everybody knows somebody, that guy down the pub who was an amazing footballer, or somebody got released, and then, they were sitting there talking about bygone times. And I just thought, if you could get these players who maybe live in remote areas where there isn't a scout network, or have been released and discarded, basically, if you could give them another opportunity, we were certain at the time there were players slipping through the net, and that's who we've tried to contact.
Interesting. What got you into this? I mean, that's the story about what inspired it. But do you have a background in football? Is it a passion of yours, or did you literally just see a need in the market and go, "I'm going to do it"?
Yeah, well, I was working for the UK's largest five-a-side football company, and probably a story all too familiar for many was that I got screwed on a bonus, and I just thought, I can't have that. There's no point whinging about it. The only way I can do this is to sort of take control of my life and my work. So that was sort of the inspiration behind it. But I just didn't quite know what I was going to do. I didn't have a clue really what I was going to do. But I knew I loved football, and I saw this, and I just thought, yeah, this is something that we could work with. And I had a background in sales and marketing, and my brother's very good operationally. Worked on some of the biggest mega yachts in the world, and great on customer service and operation. So I just thought it was a good fit for us at that time.
Yeah. Now, one thing I know about business, especially when you have conception to startup to development to passing your MVP and into to establishment and then second stage, there's always a lot of pivots, and it always evolves and grows into something that you didn't intend it to be. But when you start off a company with the name UK Football Trials, you're really niched right away. It doesn't give you a lot of flexibility to move and to pivot should all of a sudden you discover, oh, this isn't exactly what they want. They want something else. So how has the company been able to evolve but still maintain in that identity? Because I know you've also developed UKFootballSchools.com.
Yeah.
Was that an inspiration, or was that a result of a necessary pivot, but you couldn't because of the name?
It was a pivot, yeah. I mean, it was exactly that. We worked for probably the first 6 years of business, just getting the trials right. And a very good businessman once advised us, become the best in the world at what you do. So we worked really hard to do that. And then we thought, well, we've got this £100 product. What would be an expansion on from this? So we had a lot of players and parents saying, do you do anything longer than just the 3-hour trial? So we created something. We created football residential camps over 5 days, which was sort of like our £1,000 product.
Nice.
Then thankfully those started slowly again, but then really, really took off. And we had parents from those saying, this is amazing. Is there anything like this, any schools that do this sort of stuff? And the honest answer was we didn't know. So we found somebody who did, and they were sort of a specialist schools recruiter. They worked for the schools basically, and the schools paid them commission for people that they placed. But we weren't happy with the job he was doing, so we thought we can do this better.
Same inspiration from the first company. You saw somebody doing it, said,
exactly,
we can do it better.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. So we just, there are football specialist schools in Britain, and we have got players from all around the world contact us all the time, and they run exactly like professional academies. So if a footballer from around the world wants to get better, we found the schools that could help them do that. And then that developed into academies. So for older players, 17, 18 plus, we found some academies, some private football academies where basically you live as a professional, you play against professional clubs, and those provide scouting opportunities as well. So all of our products really have just stemmed from identifying what the people have been asking and trying to do it as well as we possibly can.
So there's a couple of messages here that I think the viewers, the listeners of this podcast can benefit from. Number one is what's impressive is that you stayed in your lane, right? How have you, because you could take this concept, I would argue, you could take this model and go, now we could take UKcrickettrials.com, UKcricketschools.com. You could do this with just virtually any type of a sport that's out there, but yet it doesn't sound like you have done that. You've stayed in that football realm. Do you have plans to expand in other ones? And if not, how do you maintain that level of discipline to just stay in that lane? Because it's just so tempting to go off. I mean, entrepreneurs, we have that squirrel. Oh, we go off to something else.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we have been tempted. We did. It's funny you mentioned cricket because we did actually look at that. We spoke to somebody involved in the IPL at one point. But football's really what we know, and it's everyone knows the Premier League. Everyone wants to play in England, and I think in other sports as well, the scouting network is developed differently. So if you're good at rugby, for example, the schools are all in touch with the clubs, and it's pretty easy for the best rugby players to be identified. And so many people play football across schools, in clubs. Even players, playing in terrible teams, you can have one outstanding player. So we feel there's, the football market is so huge that there's plenty of room for us to grow and develop and, go international with this, just sticking with football. So that's what we design.
Very impressive. All right. Now I got to ask you, by the way, favorite team?
West Bromwich Albion. So, that's why.
What?
Yeah, I know. Everyone says that he's not familiar with football. Yeah, terrible team. My dad's team, and you have to stick with your dad's team. So, I'm not one of these fly-by-nights, but most of our staff are Liverpool fans.
The fact that it's your dad's team. Now, did your dad play in that team, or was it just your dad's favorite team, and you were raised to believe that's the best?
My dad played for Kidderminster Harriers just for one season, but he was a West Bromwich Albion season ticket holder. So that's
normally I would go toe to toe with you, and I would defend my Arsenal team. By the way, but you've got a really good reason for having a favorite team, so I will try not to change your order.
Right,
But for me, Arsenal all the way.
Yeah, apart from last night.
Although interestingly enough, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but some of our locals here in Tampa, Florida, where I'm from, own Man United, are part owners in Manchester United.
Yeah, we're very aware of that. But
and I think somebody owns Arsenal as well. I think they're a part owner in Arsenal.
Kroenke, isn't it? Stan Kroenke, I think. Yeah, who is he in the Rams? I think in America.
Well, there's a couple. Now that I'm saying, now that I'm trying to act like I know what I'm talking about, now I'm blanking on their names. I do believe Vinnick, who's one of our local billionaires here in Tampa, he owns, I think he's a part owner in Arsenal, or used to be.
Right, wow.
Maybe not. And then we have another guy who actually owns the Bucks. They also own part of Man United as well.
Yeah.
So we got some, and we have a football team here that made it, at least in the States, to the playoffs last year. We have the Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them actually. I've heard of them. Yeah, and you've got the Liverpool owners, the FSG group.
Oh, it's Liverpool. It's not Arsenal. I think Vinnick owns part of Liverpool. I don't know. You know what's funny is now, if any sports heads watch this podcast, they're going to just rake me over the coals for not knowing about anything that I'm talking about right now. I'll get a letter from the attorneys from the Bucks and from Vinnick Corporation as well, going, stop using our name, especially for that team. All right, well, let's get back to business here. So, how did you survive the pandemic? Because I would assume that this is something that, I don't know how it all went down in the UK, but in the States, like, they were shutting down public parks. They were shutting down forests. And I'm like, if there's one place you would want to be in a pandemic, it would be outside in nature. And granted, I mean, even with a pandemic, I guess playing close to sports athletes might be a challenge. But did it lock it down for you, or what did you do? How did you survive?
It was an absolute nightmare, to be honest. When we went into that pandemic, we were selling. We'd sold out for an April camp, big events we were doing. We sold all our trials out. Our schools business was booming, and it was literally overnight everything shut down. So we lost our venue. We couldn't run anything, and we weren't using accrual accounting. I mean, business, some of the mistakes we made was terrible, and we worked out we had, 300, almost £300,000 of debt of players who paid for events, which we couldn't then deliver. So it was a hugely.
They wanted their money back, right?
Well, that was the danger. I mean, we that was the biggest. I think that was probably our biggest challenge. Was we just were like, right, we don't actually have the funds to cover all these people if they ask for a refund. So what are we going to do? We basically decided to be very honest with everybody about the situation, and we did video messages to 600 players and parents, telling them what the situation was, and saying that we would honour their events, but we can't sort of do refunds, and we put things on as soon as we can. It's we've nearly cleared that debt now. We still haven't cleared it, but we're next in August. That should hopefully be all of that debt we had cleared finally, which is going to be a huge relief.
Well done. Listen, if you can pay all that off in 1 year, you did okay. It's interesting. I think the pandemic, if anything, it gave, I think, a lot of people a great deal of empathy toward tough situations for other people, where normally they would have been like, I want my money back right now. But there was kind of like, I get it. Besides, what are they going to do?
We were amazed. I mean, we had, out of that debt, we had £10,000 worth of refunds we did, which is real people, like ourselves struggling. And, so we did have a little bit of discretion on it. But, thankfully, I think, it was really my brother delivered it, and we all just worked, and it was just we had to do that to save our company, really. But it was a lot of sleepless nights, and that realization that everything you've worked for is in jeopardy, and you've got to get your act together, really. So that was.
So then two things. So number one, lesson learned is switch to accrual accounting. So hopefully you've done that by now. By the way, for those of you who are watching or listening to this podcast, if you don't understand yet the benefits of an accrual accounting business versus a cash-based business, absolutely get to a Dan Bradbury mastermind to understand the differences between those two, because it absolutely makes a big difference. And then the second thing would be this, and I will kind of leave it with this and then kind of move on. But what have you done to future-proof the business if there is a future pandemic or something else, like now there's some weird tick that's making people die or something like that, and that's infecting in the grass? What have you been doing to help kind of future-proof yourself in the future?
We've gone to, we create digital products. So we create like a digital coaching product, but not just coaching. We speak about the psychology, all of our experience about what traits people who've been successful in football have got. So we've got a whole tutorial, what scouts look for. We've got a big sort of video program. We wrote a book. But I think really what we did is when we were able to run events last year, we've just run our business better. We joined a Dan Bradbury mastermind session, and everybody just laughed at us because we've basically been treating our business like a bit of a bank account, and they saw how much we dividended out.
Yep. Bank balance accounting is what I call it. How much money do we have in the bank? We can afford
exactly what we were doing. So we've realized the benefits of holding net assets. We've built up those reserves so that if anything does happen like this again, and schools shut and you're not allowed to play sports and things, we can survive for a lot longer. And we've also got more international options. So if the whole world locks down again, I think, it's going to be tough, but hopefully we'll have some different avenues that we can explore if this ever happens again. So, yeah.
Well done. Impressive. Jim, I can't wait to hear your pitch for the Ultimate Entrepreneur Competition and hear how you were able to go from being a cash-based business to an accrual-based business, how you survived through that pandemic. It's going to be a cool story. For those of you who'd like to learn a little bit more about Jim's companies, you can go to UK Football Trial. Say that three times fast. UKFootballtrials.com, or you can go to UK Football School. Is it school or schools?
Schools.com. Yeah.
Schools, plural. UKFootballschools.com. You should go buy school anyway and forward it through if you haven't already. But And you can also, they have a very active Instagram and Facebook page as well. So on Instagram, it is UK_football_trials. For Facebook, you can just search for UK football trials, and you can pop up and join their groups as well. Very interactive community. Jim, I wish you the best of success and luck. I can't wait to meet you in person. And is it going to be you and your brother are going to be pitching?
I'll bring the big guns for that one. So we'll look forward to speaking to everybody. But thank you very much for having us on, and really look forward to meeting you two in person. It'll be exciting.
All right, best of luck, my friend. We will see you June 21st and 22nd in work. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, there you have it. Jim Price from UK Football Trials. If you'd like to meet him, you can at the Ultimate Entrepreneur Competition coming up June 21st and 22nd in Work. Not only are we going to be hosting the Ultimate Entrepreneur Competition, but we're also going to be conducting a great mastermind where Dan's theme is going to be scaling up, and he has brought in two powerhouse guests that you will not want to miss. We have Nigel Shanahan and Simon Inchley. Nigel was able to successfully exit his company for over $50 million. He's going to be sharing with you how he did that. And then we've got Simon, who was the founder of Gresham LLP. They are a private equity firm which was at the time responsible for over $750 million in assets. He successfully grew that and then exited for over $100 million. So you're going to want to sharpen your pencils, take notes, and meet some powerful entrepreneurs at the Success Mastermind coming up June 21st and 22nd. We'll see you there. Until then, let's all try a little harder to be a little better.
I hope you enjoyed that episode. 3 things you need to do now. Number 1, make sure you subscribe to this podcast so you do not miss an episode. Also, get on over to Amazon to get a copy of my latest book, Turnover is Vanity, Profit is Sanity, 9.5 steps to improving your profits and cash flow. Also, join our Facebook group, the Turnover is Vanity, Profit is Sanity community, to connect with other business owners.